ritmo, mantenha o ritmo. Logo vai alcançar o carro da frente.
Formula One can, I think, for the outsider or the new player or the new spectator, seem really complicated. But I think the game's set up so that you can get involved in as much as you need to. So if you don't know anything about the rear wing and DRS and KERS, you don't have to use them to get the lap time. And to be honest, it's probably easier if you don't use them when you first get the game and you just get used to driving the car. But then you do have all these on-screen information, this on-screen feedback that says now it's flashing in green, you can press this button, you can do these things, and over time you get used to using them and you understand where to use them around the track to go faster. When it comes to the complicated tyre rules, Formula One have tried to make it a bit easier. You've got the prime and the option tyres. We're doing all the tyre types and the compounds in the background, so the player doesn't have to get involved in that. The race engineer reminds them on the headset in multiplayer and single player that they've got to come in and change their tyres because of the rules. So if the player's forgetting some of these things, that's when the race engineer or the game comes in and tries to help you.
Each race as it progresses, is our game quite right? I mean, we've made numerous tweaks to DRS zones, we've made numerous tweaks to tyre compounds. So the primes, for example, in our game they didn't quite have enough of an outlap. I think after Monaco everyone struggled on their first lap trying to get heat into the primes before they got longer, and obviously the driver performances. So because we're releasing in September, it's allowing us to just go back through and fine tune a few bits and pieces. So I think now that the AI has been refined and it's lapping much more like a human, you're able to pick out those driver personalities through so people like Alonso and Hamilton and Button, they're very, very aggressive in their overtaking moves. Some that are better in changeable conditions. Button and Schumacher would fall into that category. But also the game's set before the season as well. So depending on the results in the game, that would change the order a little bit because that will determine how the car parts get upgraded. So you start off with it all historical and accurate. Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull are obviously the teams to beat, but then your sort of game takes a path depending on your results. The better you're doing, the more focus there is on your car for this year and the more performance parts you get. So we've got it right. I mean, you're battling with the right drivers all the time. There's some videos I was watching online today, and Hamilton and Alonso seem to have a little bit of a grudge in our game, so we've got certain bits right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case of a lot of the team have travelled around the circuit. Certainly, I've been to quite a few of them now, and Paul's been to a load of the circuits, going along to do the PR events and seeing the tracks and meeting the drivers and the teams, the hospitality buildings. That's why we started to do all those things where you can be in the paddock or you can see the hospitality buildings that people didn't really see that much of, but now TV's showing more and more of it, so I think it's important to bring that into the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, Brazil is one that we would very much like to have gone to last year. It looked like it was a possibility, but then it fell through. Obviously, there's a lot of passion for F1 in Brazil, and a lot of interest in our game as well. So hopefully, we can make a visit this year. We're our own harshest critics as well. When you spent 2 years working on a game, and then you find out there's some issues in there, and not just small issues as well. Sometimes game-breaking issues like the pit stop bug, which we worked hard to fix in the past. I mean, it was really heartbreaking for us as well to put all this effort in, and you've got a game that's really, really good in places, and then you've got these small moments which destroy everything. When I think looking back, we felt we had to put everything into last year's game, get as much content in as we could. We focused all on the Be the Driver stuff. We added all the Live Live stuff, the interviews, and we tried to cram it all in, and we had obviously a deadline to hit in order to get it out for 2010 as well. And I think the lesson learned is this year we want to add a lot of new content as well. We didn't want it to just be an update, but there's a drawing line under exactly when we can continue development, and we've really been strict on that ourselves. So certain areas of the game haven't really had a massive rewrite. Speech and penalties have been reworked and balanced and fine-tuned what we had. AI's had a bigger, significant update, and we've just locked it off a lot earlier, and we're playing the game a lot earlier, so we're balancing the game. And it's because we're all massive fans and racers in the studio anyway, you'll get up and you'll have a multiplayer race and something's not quite right, and you're straight out of your seat, you're straight round to the guy's desk whose work it is, and you're like, why did this happen? Come and have a look at this. So we're confident that this year's game, we've got the balance right. It's really about trying to get the polish up this year.
Definitely, I mean, multiplayer is a huge focus for us this year. I mean, we were saying in the conference that 2010 was about the career mode and the single player experience and putting loads of cool features in it, but 11 is about getting everybody to play online amongst one another. So 2010 had 12 cars online, 2011 has got 24 cars online, and it makes modes such as co-op championship, where you and a friend can be teammates at a particular team of your choice, playing throughout the season in practice, qualifying and race, a reality now. We've also got split screen that a lot of people are asking for. That seems to be really popular again. We've been quite surprised by that. TVs are getting bigger and bigger these days, so it starts to become a reality again. So we've got split screen in there. We've got objectives in multiplayer as well. A lot of people have said, can you split the rooms up so that you get the elite players in one room and the new players in another one? But we want to bring everybody together. And if you want to use the driving aids and another guy doesn't want to use the driving aids, that's fine. There's penalties if you're a really experienced player and you start turning the driving aids on. And we've also given people objectives. So if you're the new guy, you're not expected to win the race. You might be asked to try and finish 15th. If you do better than that, you get a lot more XP, you get rewarded, and everybody's given the right kind of level to play against. And for the elite players, it's a case of, I'm expected to win this race now. You get the pressure of Vettel and Alonso. You're in their shoes now, you're expected to win.
The further back you go, the harder it is. It's not part of our license agreement, but it's something that I think, along with the safety car and how big an impact that's had at this show, it's something that there's huge demand for. We want to make sure we get it right as well. I think when the last Sony game did it, you could only use them in time trial mode, and that's not really what you'd want to do. You'd want to do Senna versus Prost, you'd want to do those key historical head-to-heads. After the success of F1 2010, that's opened a few more doors for F1 2011, so hopefully this year we'll open a few more again and we can progress those talks, but it's definitely something that we want to do.
Entre nesta volta. Faltam duas voltas. Simplesmente brilhante, muito bem.